Welcome to Perfect Game College Baseball. I'm Brett Dolan, filling in for Darren Sutton. Happy to be joined as always by Hunter Pence, fresh off his trip to the ESPYs. We've got a great show for you. We're going to talk with the new head coach, at least to the Michigan Wolverines. That's Tracy Smith, formerly at Arizona State. Of course, all kinds of success at Indiana when he was the National Coach of the Year back in 2013 and took the Hoosiers to the College World Series. So it has been, as you can imagine, a whirlwind for Coach Smith since taking over Michigan, recruiting some of his own players, looking at younger players, building a staff, and getting ready for fall ball soon. Then we're going to have some fun. We're going to talk with Justin Sellers. He is the commissioner of the Coastal Plain League. Maybe you've heard of the Macon Bacon or Savannah Bananas. In fact, those two teams were involved in a playoff series just a couple of days ago, so they have great baseball. In fact, 38 players alone that were taken in this past draft. The Major League Baseball draft were alums from the Coastal Plain League, but they also like to have fun. And Hunter and I will talk about that as well when Perfect Game College Baseball continues. We'll visit with Tracy Smith in just a moment. Welcome back to Perfect Game College Baseball. It's a pleasure to welcome in Tracy Smith. He is the new head coach for the Michigan Wolverines. You know him, of course, from his time at Arizona State and Indiana. He's back in the Big Ten. And, Coach, you've got the gear on already. You've been out recruiting. I know it's always been a whirlwind. So what have these last few weeks been like for you?
A whirlwind. I mean,
Yeah.
the best description, like 0 to 60. I've jokingly, I'd run into a lot of friends on the road, and they asked the same question. I said, man, I was 4 weeks ago doing the grandparent thing and watching Netflix, and now here we are on the recruiting trail again. So it's been great. It's been fun and re-energizing to be back in it.
Yeah, Tracy, it is exciting for all of us. We've been big fans of you for all of your work throughout the years, and excited to see you land at such a wonderful University of Michigan, big name brand. And you mentioned one thing, so I just want to ask, acclimating, there's a lot of sharks in the water trying to poach you have some great players. What is the most challenging thing now that you've jumped into such a, from Netflix and chilling to jumping into Michigan? What's the most challenging thing for you at this point?
Well, you said it. It was, and it's really just kind of simmered down in probably the last couple days, was just stabilizing the recruiting, because the timing of the hire was a little problematic from that standpoint. I was not named the coach until after the portal closed, B, and I understand it. I've got kids that have played college sports, and when you have a coaching change, which my youngest went through, there was that gap in timing of the hire, and you said it, the sharks in the water. And I literally was watching day by day, decommit, and couldn't say anything, one, for two reasons. One, I wasn't the coach yet. Two, then the confidentiality part of it, you really weren't allowed to talk about it. So you're just watching that go by the hour, literally. And then so our instant thing was to try to stabilize that and get people to feel comfortable with the transition, and then, try to the best of our ability to evaluate not only the current staff, but also future staff. Because, this recruiting thing, it's not just one layer, it's 3 to 4 layers, and making sure that your commits are, A, who you would want, but also, that they committed here once, and we want to make sure that we hold those commitments. So I feel like we've done a pretty good job of that. Now we can start focus on just the logistics of laying out the year.
No, that's well explained, Coach. And the portal is a new animal, and I think as much as we get used to it, there's still a little bit of a learning curve to come, because normally I would say in this situation, when you take over a job, sometimes it's been because there has been poor performance in years past. That's not the case with Eric Bakich putting together a good program and leaving for Clemson. So, it seems like the foundation's in place, but, that's only somewhat temporary. I mean, you've got to get in there and solidify things as quickly as you can, and I got to believe any coach is just racking their brain and a little bit nervous, just anxious to get in there and start work with that time frame that, 2 weeks might feel like 2 months.
Well, I said this, and I say it with all sincerity, knowing what is required at this point, and the game is different, even from when was in it 21 to now, it's different in a year's time. I don't know that I've been ready for this type of transition at age 35. I mean, with the experience and the network of trying to catch up on a recruiting trail, because when this all happened, our admissions was closed. it's going to be interesting. I mean, admissions was closed and trying to fill some of those things. And as you said, Eric's done a fantastic job, and I don't regret. Eric and I are really good friends, but he did a good job. And when you talk about recruiting, you sign with the school, but you also sign with the people. And a lot of those guys, and I'm not saying it's bad, chose to move on to Clemson because of the relationship they had with the previous staff. So it left a little bit of a challenge, but we'll catch up. And that goes back to the experience piece of it. I think all of that stuff will right itself over time. In the immediate, we've got to set, I think, realistic goals of what we want to accomplish. Stay to that. Stay with the plan. We're about, we talked about this in Michigan and I on the whole hiring. Let's build for sustainable success. And they've done a good job of that. But I wouldn't take this job if we didn't think that we could continue to build on that. So that's the focus right now.
Tracy, yeah, building a sustainably successful organization is exciting for sure. I want to talk a little bit about one of your first hires, the pitching coach, because for me, I love pitching philosophy. Obviously, I'm a hitter, but pitching is what wins championships and what builds that sustainable future and long-term success. So talk a little bit about Brock Hunsinger, your relationship with him, and what you're looking to build as a pitching culture at Michigan.
Yep. Well, Brock is a guy that, going through this process, and I know there's probably some raised eyebrows on the outside because the track record of recruiting and some of the traditions that people stick to in the hiring process. I have a history with Brock going back to days when he was recruited. I recruited him out of high school, and he ultimately signed a professional contract out of high school. And I joked with him. I said, dude, you're lucky that we're doing this because normally you only tell me no once. And but we were able to, through his career, what I love about him is the experience that he had in professional baseball. And as you know, Hunter, I think specifically, this blend between the analytics and then what really happens on the field, I love his ability. He worked with us at Arizona State. He was on staff with us out there finishing his master's degree. So, I got to see like him in his office setting and know him in a work professional setting, but just me knowing his style and how he carries himself when he walks into a room, when he talks to somebody, he's going to have a presence that these kids are going to believe in. And all the talk and dialogue that I had with the current kids on staff, hey, what do you guys need? What are you looking for? To me, it aligns very, very well. Is he the accomplished recruiter? Not yet, but he's a quick learner, and I can't wait. Maybe someday you're going to have a chance to talk to him, but you'll see what I'm talking about. He's got the it factor. And for me, my father-in-law a long time ago says you hire good people, you can teach them anything, and you hire good people and you get out of the way and let them do their job. That's how I feel about him. I think he's going to bring a wealth of knowledge and real-life experiences to this that are really going to resonate with our kids.
Tracy Smith is our guest, the new head coach of the Michigan Wolverines, more than 800 career wins, and I think the number's at 90 MLB draft picks he has coached, guys like Spencer Torkelson, Kyle Schwarber. Tracy, I'm curious if there's a delineation or what's more important when things settle down and you're talking to kids, when you can say, listen, I coached Spencer Torkelson, I coached Kyle Schwarber, helped develop them, or is it the ability to say, I took a Big Ten team to the College World Series, I've won championships in this conference. Is there one maybe more important than the other, or do they all kind of fall into that same basket of importance?
I think that's a great question, and I think it's a we mentality. I think you don't do this. It's not one individual. It's not one player. It's collective. It's the institution support of the program. It's the players that you have. It's the people, the staff, all of that stuff that goes into it. But being, this will be year, I think, 26 as a head coach. It's nice to be able to draw on all of those experiences when coming into a job like this, because there's not a lot that I haven't seen. But you guys being around baseball, the minute we say that, something happens on
Always.
the field or scenario.
Always.
Yeah. So, I think it's all of that built together. But to have those anecdotal stories in the toolbox to share with kids, because there's actually a recruiting situation I'm in right now where it reminds me so much of a kid, Aaron Slagers, that I had at Indiana that was not a high-profile guy, but ends up the Big Ten Pitcher of the Year and ultimately pitching in the big leagues. So being able to talk about those stories and share those with kids and to keep that motivation and sometimes to get the yes in a recruit is invaluable. And I think that comes with experience. So that's why I'm 26. I still feel like I'm energized, ready to go, but I like having that experience in this and be able to share that.
Yeah, Michigan and the players that are going to play for you certainly are going to, get rewarded on that experience that you've developed over the years. And one of my favorite things that you mentioned Schwarber, Torkelson, Hunter Bishop. You've gotten a lot of hitters, and I know you haven't announced your hitting coach yet. But I have to ask you about hitting philosophy, developing hitting. Because I think that's a great gift that you have to share to a lot of these kids and also to everyone listening.
Well, it's again a good question. I can't wait till when I can talk about the hitting because it's going to be I love the hire. Like I should say, I love the recommendation for the hire because it's going to come soon. And a lot of thought went into that about we want to have an identity. You just said it. Some of the hitters you named off there. I think over the years we've created an identity at the plate. That's been through good coaching with Ben Greenspan and Mike Early and the various guys. I wanted to pick up on that and continue that because you're right. The reputation's been developing hitters. That starts with talent. You got to have talented young men, but you also got to have guys that have that coachable spirit and that want to get better and a good work ethic. None of that's changed in taking this job. That was a formulation of, me starting the process of who we were going to have on the hitting side. But it's just having a plan and sticking to it. I've been asked here, hey, are we going to be more of a home run hitting team or a bunting, a station to state, whatever? I said, I don't know yet until I see our team. Like I think when we get out there in the fall, that's going to dictate a little bit. But rest assured, I would joke about this in the pack all the time. I would assume we're going to probably be last in sack bunting every single year because we like to hit. So not going to change too much or deviate from what we've done in the past.
No, I love that, Tracy. And I want to follow up on that because even as you were explaining it, a couple of questions popped into my mind. I had a chance to broadcast Hunter's games with the Astros, but I'm a guy that grew up in Iowa, and I'm a Big Ten guy. I'm sitting here in Arkansas in the SEC, and I watched Jay Johnson last year come from Tucson to the SEC. I know there's an SEC style of play. I know there's a West Coast style of play, and maybe you didn't necessarily have that with your masters at Arizona State. Is there a Big Ten style of play? Is there something maybe intrinsic to the game of the Big Ten that's a little bit different than from some of the other conferences, whether it's weather-related or anything else?
I love your questions. You guys, this is why you guys are really good. So I don't think it's really this. I mean, I've tried to say this to people. Like, I've been labeled. I mean, I've been labeled as a guy that develops hitters, but it really is based on the personnel. If I try to go out and play for home runs with guys who can't hit home runs, I don't think we're going to be really successful. Same thing if we got guys that can really move and steal bases and stuff like that. I think it really depends on it, and it starts with the philosophy of recruiting. You referenced Jay. I think Jay was very similar in that even at Arizona when he was there. He tried to get big physical hitters. My thing has always been, I know how I feel as the coach in a dugout of the opposition when they're sending a guy to the plate and I'm watching him walk up. What do I fear? Do I fear the guy that's his best shot's going to be a little base hit over the guy's head, or somebody that can actually knock a double or hit one over the fence? That's how I want to create fear in that other dugout by every guy we send to the plate that has that ability to. I define power at the college level, at least, by a guy that can smack doubles. I mean, that's, and I know when those guys come to the plate, you think a little bit differently as the opposition. So if we can stack our lineup with 9 of those guys, I don't think that makes a difference whether it's West Coast, SEC, or whatever. I think all of us are striving to get to that point.
I would agree. And Tracy, I'm going to give you a final opportunity here. We have so many young athletes that watch PerfectGame.tv, that watch our shows. I'm going to open it up to you. What would it be like to play at the University of Michigan? What is your recruiting pitch to young kids once you get through this chaos and you start dealing with some younger age groups going forward? What do you want to tell them about your program and Michigan Wolverines baseball?
Yeah, and I don't think it's unique to anything in life. We could call it Michigan baseball, but you could put it on what you guys do every day at Perfect Game and your work environment there. It all centers around people. This is a people world, and we pick schools, and I understand. I tell kids, pick a school first, absolutely, but right up there next to it should be the people you're interacting with every day. Are they helping you develop on and off the field? The interactions you have with a teammate, because if that's not good, I don't care where you're going, you're not going to be happy, you're not going to stay. So really through that process, try to identify and look at the people that are associated with that program, those being the coaches and players that you're going to interact with every day, and is that going to make you better as you go through your journey? I think that's the most important. It gets clouded with all this other stuff, But it's really that simple, I think.
I love talking to college coaches. They kind of get me fired up. Tracy, I know it's been a busy stretch, to say the least. So thanks so much for spending some time with us. We can't wait to see your team on the field next year and certainly going forward.
Well, appreciate it. You guys got any winter coats? I got rid of all of them. I need some winter coats now.
All mine have a Tiger Hawk logo on them. I don't think that will go over well in Michigan.
All right.
You're going to have to do some shopping, Tracy.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on. This was great. Appreciate it.
That's Tracy Smith, the University of Michigan. We'll come back with more right here on Perfect Game College Baseball. Welcome back to Perfect Game College Baseball. We're going to welcome in Justin Sellers. He is the commissioner of the Coastal Plain League. It's a 14-team college summer league that is heading down the stretch. Justin, welcome in. You're in the final couple of days of playoffs and championships, correct?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah, we wrapped up the West Division last night in Macon, Georgia. Our Macon Bacon and Savannah Bananas teams playing, and the Bananas swept that series 2-0. And I'll be in Wilson, North Carolina tonight, where the Morehead City Marlins take on the Wilson Tops in Game 2 with Morehead leading 1-0. So it's been a long summer, as everyone is, but we're down the home stretch for sure.
Justin, yeah, speaking of the Savannah Bananas and the Macon Bacons, make baseball fun again. The Savannah Bananas. Alexis, my wife, she doesn't follow a ton of baseball, but she is in love with the Savannah Bananas. Can you talk a little bit about just that, bringing this all together and how that unfolded?
Yeah, sure. So we like to have fun. We try to imagine what the future of baseball is, right? And we want to keep it as a high level of play on the field. And I think that speaks for itself based on our tenure. We've had 7 straight years of first-round draft picks. We've got 157 major leaguers, 1,750 guys drafted. So taking that and taking advantage of the fact that these kids are 18, 19, 20, 21 and enjoying themselves during the summer and making it fun allowed us to focus on the entertainment side. And not only Savannah, but, our other teams, Macon, Lexington, Holly Springs, Peninsula, everybody, Morehead City, et cetera, we cut together in the off season, and we have kind of a league-wide marketing and strategy meetings about what's working and what can we share, how can we do this in other places to help make our crowds more enjoyable and fan-friendly atmospheres for not only the players, but really the fans. And, still have the solid baseball during the season and whatnot. So it's been a process, Hunter, in all honesty, over the last probably 7 or 8 years. This is my 21st with the league and 10th as the commissioner. And when I took over, I basically said, hey, I'm not going to say no to everything. I'm going to listen, and there'll be some things that we try. And so guys bring ideas to me. We fill it out, and sometimes I have to say no, but most of the times we test it out, and we have fun doing it. And as you can see, we've been able to really become pretty internet famous across the board, whether it's, Savannah or any other team or even the league. At one point, I think we had 5 TikTok videos from the league office last year that had over 1 million views each. So we enjoy ourselves, and we enjoy trying to help these kids get to the next level and have fans take their minds off of reality for a couple hours while they're at the ballpark.
Well, I love that. Justin Sellers, the commissioner of the Coastal Plain League, is joining us. I feel like it could be an entirely different show just going through the things that you had to say no to. That would be wildly entertaining to view that. Justin, I just got back from the Appalachian League All-Star Game, and I was watching the scouts watch the players. I was overwhelmed with the talent that was in the All-Star Game. I think other people were as well. We hear of the Cape, we hear of a few other leagues. I don't think we realize how much talent is out there. I got to believe you have that same thought when you go to your pro day All-Star Game, when you look at the combined talent and you start to think there's 10 guys out here in the All-Star Game or X number of players that'll have a great chance to be major leaguers someday.
Yeah, absolutely. Every year, so we've actually run the numbers. We're averaging about 2.5 major leaguers per All-Star game now. and we average in the course of a season around 11 or 12 guys getting to the bigs over the last 5 or 6 years. So, it's really come a long way. My first year in the league, we had a little scrawny pitcher. He wasn't little; he was tall and slender, but pitcher by the name of Justin Verlander. And he was like Nuke from Bull Durham. He could throw it through the wall. Just had to get the control down. But that's the beauty part of baseball and the farm system and everything. And so he's probably our most notable alum. The year after was Ryan Zimmerman, Mr. National. So we've seen a bunch of guys come through, and every year we partner up with USA Baseball. We do a prospect development pipeline event at our All-Star event. Because of this year with the draft coming after the All-Star event, we actually lost a good amount of guys that were signed in 22. And because of the short number of rounds now in the draft, we lost a lot of guys to free agency as well right after the draft. So very strong league and very strong talent. And to your point, Brett, there's a lot of guys going elsewhere than the Cape. When I started in the league, it was the Cape and the Alaska and the Valley pretty much as the headhunters, and then on top of that, we came on board. The Northwoods League came on board, and you've really seen guys give those leagues a run for their money now, to where I think we're top 2 or 3 in the country typically on talent across the board each summer. But and we pride ourselves on that aspect, but we also pride ourselves on creating an atmosphere that's unlike anything else, so that these kids can come in and enjoy their summers. Putting in that extra work can sometimes be tiresome for them after they've played a spring season and got to go back in and fall ball and everything. And to be able to come in through the summer and enjoy yourself and also get your ABs and your IPs, then everything's golden.
Yes, Justin, I can relate that the summer collegiate leagues 100% enhanced who I was as a player, and I would credit a lot of my success to the work put in there. And you can't get any better than Verlander and Ryan Zimmerman, and Verlander seemed to figure out that control, that's for sure. Justin, I am going to... Yes, he did. I am going to jump in on Brett's question because I thought it was. I have to ask, like, with such an open mind, and yes, you're working high level baseball, also entertainment. What are some of the things you have had to say no to?
So
the craziest ones.
The biggest one that jumps out. So in 2019, we took our All-Star game to Savannah. And they wanted to do something different. So we came up with a format. There was a article by Keith Oberman from ESPN that talked about shortening the game. And we, with Savannah staff and the league staff and other league officials at different level teams, we started talking about, okay, what can we try that's different that'll get people's attention and be fan friendly? And we ended up coming up collectively with what we call the All-Star Showdown, and it was taking 6 teams and playing a series of 3-inning games. And if the game was tied after 3, then it went to what they called the Showdown. And initially, the concept pitched was 1 pitcher and 1 hitter, and if the ball gets put into play, the pitcher's got to run and track it down and get to home plate by himself to tag the batter runner at that point out. If the batter runner scores, then they win it's a walk-off type thing. Conceptually and in theory, it's pretty interesting, and we tested it a little bit in practice couple of days. But my biggest concern, obviously, is we're using college athletes, and they're on their way to the next level, and we want to make sure we take good care of them. So I was concerned about having a pitcher come off the mound and chase a ball into the gap or something like that all the way up to the wall and running. And so kind of pitched the idea of, okay, let's do this. Let's put a fielder in either the right field, first base, third base, coach's box. And that fielder can't take off until the ball is put in play. And when the ball is put in play, then the fielder can take off. He goes after the ball. The pitcher comes off the mound, gets behind home plate, and stays out of the way. But that way, at least I have a legitimate runner going and fielding that ball, and I don't have a pitching coach and a D1 calling me, what the hell is my guy running around like a chicken with his head cut off? So it was one of those type of things where we've had it. Hunter, we've had times where, they've had a big sponsor want to get an AB in a game that we've had to be very cautious with. I think in the past I've said no to it once or twice. I've probably been okay as long as they sign a waiver and everything like that, because, it'd be my luck the pitch would come in and hit them in the head or something. But, there's all kinds of crazy things that get thrown out every once in a while. We've done a couple of games before where we put the plays in control of the fans, so they tweet what they want to see happen. And so, really interactive type stuff that's going on. We have to approve the jerseys, and as you can imagine, so we've got, as Jim's probably told you, we've got 14 franchises. We've got their main monikers, but then we also have their secondaries. So for an example, Lexington County Blowfish, which was named, it was originally in Columbia, South Carolina, before the minor league team moved up there, was named after Hootie and the Blowfish. And so the drummer used to come to the games and everything like that. Well, when Macon came on board in 2018 as the Bacon officially, they were going to play each other a lot because they're close in proximity and in the same division. And interestingly, the owner down there, Bill Shanahan, who's a former minor league owner and got a lot of experience and likes to have fun as well, said, "Hey, I want to create a secondary name. We're going to be called the Pancakes." So when the first game happened in 2018, literally, I've got a picture here in our league office that's got the scoreboard where it's bacon over pancakes in the final line score. And, it's a lot of fun. They had a go pancake on the jersey with the syrup dripping off the numbers. Real cool kind of thing. They implemented concession items with sausage and pancakes and things like that, breakfast items that night. We've got other ones too that have bounced around. We've got the Tri-City chili peppers. We've got the South Wake Shakes, which is like a milkshake that's up here in Holly Springs, and same franchise that's owned by the Durham Bulls and Capital Broadcasting Company. So we don't take ourselves too seriously, but at the same time, we stay in that lane of professionalism so that people understand, hey, we're not just a gimmick.
You've got a great job. I really enjoyed Justin Sellers. I almost feel like Eddie Feiner and the King in his court could appreciate maybe the pitcher tracking down a ball. And I've heard about sudden death extra innings this year in some other leagues. But it's crazy. But ultimately, again, this year, 38 alums that came out of the Coastal Plain League were selected in the draft, including Gavin Cross out of Virginia Tech, who's a high pick. Justin, keep up the good work. It seems like it'd be a lot of fun to follow you around for a week, but thanks for sharing a little bit of what the Coastal Plain League is like for us on the show.
Absolutely, guys. Appreciate it. Appreciate what y'all do for the game, and anytime. If you ever want to get out to a Coastal Plain League game, give us a shout. Jim's got my number.
I think I'm going to speak for Hunter when I say deal. We're going to do that.
We'll take care of you. Y'all take care.
Thank you, Justin.
So thanks again to Justin Sellers, the commissioner of the Coastal Plain League. As you can tell, they like to have a lot of fun, but also some great baseball with their 14 teams wrapping up their postseason, their playoffs, and their championship. Anxious to see one of those teams or some of their games in person next summer. Thanks as well to Tracy Smith. I know it has been chaotic since taking over as the Michigan Wolverines head coach, meeting with your own team, recruiting future players, putting together a staff, all that comes with that whirlwind, the chaos of the first couple of weeks or couple of months. So thank you to those guys for joining us as always. Appreciate Hunter Pence riding alongside as the co-host. I'm Brett Dolan, filling in for Darren Sutton. Thanks for joining us on another edition of Perfect Game College Baseball.